Today I'm about to watch and review the popular musical fantasy Wicked for Good, which is directed by Jon M and stars Cynthia Erivo, Ariana Grande, Jonathan Bailey and Michelle Yeoh. Yeoh, not sure how to pronounce that one, but let's give you the plot. Elphaba is now on the run, hunted by the wizard and Madame Morrible, as lies about her spread across Oz, while Glinda, separated from her, must confront the fallout of her choices. Their once unbreakable friendship is tested as they grapple with the consequences of power, truth, and the cost of doing good. So this whole thing got started with the original 1900s book, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, which was written by L. Frank Baum, which was followed by a 1939 adaptation in the form of a feature film, which is the one that most people know. Then in 1995, a revisionist spin-off novel, Wicked, was written by Gregory Maguire, offering an alternate backstory to the Wicked Witch of the West, reimagining the events and characters from the witch's perspective. This version of the story was then turned into a very popular theatre show, which has been running to this day ever since 2003, before being turned into a two-part feature film, Wicked, with the first part coming out last November. The director, Jon M is the director for both parts 1 and part 2, and he's known for his previous work on things like Crazy Rich Asians, which is very good, and Now You See Me Too, which, if you refer back to my other video, I'm not a big fan of. Excitement level is very, very, very low, I'm afraid, and that's only because I'm a very hard sell when it comes to musicals in live action film. I love musicals in things like cartoons, all the Disney classics, love all those, and things like Nightmare Before Christmas, things like that, or Muppets Christmas Carol. I always love the musical when it's done like that. When it comes to live action, I've only enjoyed one or two. One of those being The Greatest Showman. That was very good, had some great songs. Mary Poppins was good, did like that one as well. But the ones I haven't liked are things like Rocket Man, Moulin Rouge, Matilda. I mean, Matilda's a classic case where I enjoyed the first film that came out, and then when they turned it into a musical on film, I didn't enjoy it. I really do love theatre productions. I love going to the West End, really love watching shows like that. It's just something about when it's brought to the big screen, there's just this sort of disconnect. I just can't connect with it as well, or not as easy. Grease is another example. Hated the John Travolta version, but absolutely loved it in the theatre. Now, in preparation for tonight's movie, I have rewatched the first part. It was quite good, but it was a bit of a slog to get through, and that's mainly down to the fact that it was 2 hours and 40 minutes long, and it really just didn't feel like there was that much story there, and it most certainly wasn't, because the actual musical in which these films are based on was only about 2 hours and 20 minutes for the entire thing, whereas if you take part 1 and part 2 tonight, it works out to nearly about 5 hours. So that's evidence enough that there's really not that much story there that they've padded out. Now, some people would say, yes, it delves more into character and things like that. But as I said, when I'm not really that big of a fan of this thing in the first place, I'm always going to find that a bit more harder. I'd like it to be a shorter movie. Some of the songs in Wicked Part 1 were actually quite good. The visuals on it were amazing, and the acting was very strong. Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande were both very, very good in their performances. Now, in one of my last vlogs, I was checking out the popcorn buckets and noticed they had a few for Wicked for Good. But I've noticed they've also got some drink cups as well. If you didn't see that vlog, here are the popcorn buckets. There's this one here. Didn't think much of that one. This one is a bit better because of the green theme. I like this one a little bit more. And it's got like this pattern design inside. But when it comes to the drink cups, you've got this one, which actually does look quite good. Destined to Fly. And as you can see, it's got the Wicked Witch of the West on top there. And it's got the pink and green on either side. So that one's quite good. And we've also got this one as well, which looks like Cinderella on top, but that must be somebody else. I'm guessing that's Ariana Grande's character in a different coloured dress. And also, as a nice little touch, in your popcorn, they're adding some pink and green popcorn. If you do enjoy the channel, do press like and subscribe. It really does help us out. So now I'm going to go in, watch the movie, and I'll let you know my thoughts afterwards. So the film has just finished, so now I'm going to go over the highlights and then the hang-ups, starting with the highlights. Okay, so starting with the positives in this movie, I thought the acting, once again, by the entire cast was very, very good. The standouts once again being Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande. Just like the first movie, I thought the production design on it was good. I did quite like that from The Wizard of Oz, you're seeing the story play out from a different perspective. I mean, that's what this whole thing's about. We're taking it from the Wicked Witch of the West's perspective. But when you see like Dorothy and Tin Man and the others come into it, it was quite nice to sort of see it from this different angle. I enjoyed the song that everybody knows from this film. You hear it in the trailer. I believe they must play it in the theatre show as well, is I Have Been Changed for Good. The singing was top notch, so I couldn't fault it in that area. Hang-ups. I did just say the singing was really good, but I did not like the songs other than the one I mentioned. I thought all the songs in this film were very, very forgettable. And I think a large part of that is they'll have something in the song that I like, but because they don't give it what happens in a lot of songs is that repetition to it. So by the time the song finishes, you feel like you've heard it a few times and it's sort of stuck in your head. None of the songs in this film have that, because it feels like when they're singing, they're just reading the script, but in song form. It doesn't make an impression on you. It doesn't stay with you when the song's over. It doesn't ever make you want to sort of grab this soundtrack and listen to it and go, oh, I remember that song. Very few had them in the first one, but at least they had one or two. In this one, it was just the one song that had that. I've Been Changed for Good, that's it. All the others, completely forgettable. The first half of this movie, when the film started, it had like a, for lack of a better word, an action sequence in it. And I was quite on board with that bit. I quite enjoyed that bit. But the moment that was over, boy, did this film grind to an absolute halt. It was so slow paced. And I think a large part of that is because there is no story there. Think about it. This is a 5-hour film, if you count part 1 and part 2, that has been expanded from the theatre show, which is only about 2.5 hours long. So there's obviously going to be lots of padding, and I really felt that padding during this movie. Even though the first film was the longer one, it felt like there was more story there. It's not to say that the first one was amazing, because in my opinion, it really wasn't. But in this one, I really felt that extra padding. It felt like the movie ground to a complete halt, really slow. And then when we got about halfway through the film, did it start to pick up a little bit more for me. But when it did pick up, there was lots of moments in the story where I was sort of left scratching my head. I didn't understand why characters were making certain choices. Let's take Eliba's character. She's like a powerful witch. So she's forced to make decisions, and it kind of made me think, when these decisions happen, I'm thinking like, Eliba, why didn't you just use your powers? You could easily get yourself out of this situation. But because that's the way the story goes, she sort of goes along with it. And for me, I should imagine if you're watching this in a theatre, if this plays the same way as it does in this movie, you may not sort of ask these questions, because in a theatre show, I don't know what it is, you can leave those moments intentionally vague. In a movie where you see like the extent of her powers and what she can and can't do, that when she's sort of put into to make a decision and she goes and does it, and you're like, well, hang on a minute, I've seen that you're way more powerful, you could easily get yourself out of this situation. There'll be some characters that may not be in the story anymore, and they were in the first one, and it's just like, yep, they're gone, and by the way, that's what happened to them. I'm going to be as vague as I can with this next bit, and that is with Eliba's sister. What happens with that character, I really didn't like. I thought that was a bit like, it happened, and I was a bit like, where? What? Why? And really? Final rating. I think if this had just been one film, or each part had been a lot shorter, then I would have probably been a bit more kind to the story. But instead, the pacing was really bad in this film. The performances were good. The singing was great, but unfortunately the songs were not very memorable at all, apart from one song, which is troublesome when we're dealing with a musical. Unfortunately, I didn't enjoy it. So I'm going to give Wicked for Good 2 stars. When I was citing musicals that I do actually like, I missed out Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is a good example of how I feel that this film should have taken, followed the same model, in that you have your talkie scenes, and then you go into song, and then you go into talkie scenes, and then you go into song. And when it's doing the songs, each song has a repetitious quality to it. And then when we're talking, we're not going in and out of song, because that can be That's something I just didn't like. I like it more traditional, like, you know, we're keeping the song separate and then we're keeping the dialogue separate. If you made it to the end of the video, give us a like and subscribe. And if you want to check out my channel, you can find my playlists for things like other movie reviews, movie attractions, movie locations, and lots more. I want to thank you again for watching, and until next time, I'll see you at the movies.